Welcome to Convention Reviews. Today we'll be talking about Animazement 2025. This is a annual anime convention that occurs at the Raleigh Convention Center in Raleigh, North Carolina, over the Memorial Day weekend. Animazement is a really special convention because, in a lot of regards, it is kind of one of the last old-school anime cons left in North America, or at least in the East Coast. And by that I mean the convention itself was very heavily built around the core basis of education and promoting Japanese culture first and foremost, which a lot of other conventions have started to move away into the direction of K-pop and many other sort of aspects of Asian culture, among many others, and have really kind of stuck to their guns in a lot of ways, which I do have to give Animazement a lot of credit for. Because the convention has been able to keep such a strong and focus on Japanese culture, they've been able to get a lot of really great directors, producers, voice actors, and talent from Japan that many other conventions of its same size would not be able to have that same opportunity, which I find to be really cool. Animazement does have quite a few convention staples, such as their game room, which does have a lot of really cool import Japanese video games. They also have a lot of their own unique content as well, such as Anime Hell, which is a really fun Friday night event that's been going on for years, where they play a lot of weird random videos from the internet, which are really fun. Besides that, they also get a lot of really interesting special guests that are experts in their fields, as well as some really interesting talent that you don't typically see for live action performances, such as they do have a taiko group, among many other Japanese comedy performances, among many others, which really in a lot of ways makes them quite unique in this regard. One other thing I will mention is that Animazement also issued a Funko Pop ban this year due to a, let's just say, incident that happened last year involving scalpers that got a little out of hand, which I do have to give Animazement credit for, standing up for this kind of behavior. Another really cool feature about Animazement is the Animators Dormitory Project, in which they get a lot of new, fresh out of school animators a real chance to strive and thrive in the industry, where they raise money for their dormitory to basically pay for their living expenses while trying to get off the ground, which is a really cool thing to say the least. One of the few guests that were invited was the group Crazy, who have worked on a lot of CGI work in The Irregular and Magical High School, Fruits Basket, Macross Delta, among many other really interesting games and series to say the least. But probably the biggest musical act of the weekend was the singer Aimee, who was a former Stereo Pony vocalist as well as guitarist as well. Aimee gave a really amazing performance, which not only covered a lot of her older works with her former band Stereo Pony, but also a variety of her own original music, as well as much more recent work as well. And it's really great to see, especially a musical artist that both really appeals to not only the older otaku fan, but also the younger fans as well, which, really is a unique aspect that AZ really tries to strive to seek out these kind of guests, which is always fun. Another really interesting aspect about Animazement is that they tend to get really great panelists at their events. And even a couple of them were featured panelists, such as the Awesomely Bad Crew, which did a variety of panels from Thursday through Sunday. Probably one of their most well-known ones is doing awesomely bad music videos, which they find a lot of really cool music videos from across the internet. There also was a really great Godzilla panel that was held that was really deep and thorough, especially going back to the 1980s specifically. There also was some really fun comedy bits by Dr. Obsidian, who also comes back with Anime Fails every year, which really does kind of have a lot of really fun interaction with the crowds. But outside of that, there also were some really interesting cases of some talking about abandoned buildings and structures in Japan that, was really approached from a high academic level, which is something really unique to this event as well. But that's not to say there weren't a lot of fun, casual panels as well. A really great example of this is somebody did a panel on Japanese memes, as well as really fun, wacky commercials. Especially on Sunday, there's also somebody who did a panel on Weird Al in the 1980s, who apparently was a big deal in Japan during sort of the bubble era economy. So it was fun to watch some kind of throwback videos from that time frame as well. Another great artist was actually the Third Impact Anime group, which has done some stuff in the past. Also did a really great panel on baby metal and sort of the rise in popularity in the last 10 years, which really was a really cool music act that I do enjoy myself. There also was another panelist who did a panel on Itasha Cars, which isn't really generally featured at Animazement, but definitely kind of a fun insight as well. One of the really cool things I like about Animazement is that they're always willing to open up to new things, and one thing that was really cool is that they had this home video museum which featured a lot of anime throughout different medias over time. This was also a panel last time, but has now become a full-blown exhibit throughout the entire weekend, which was also held by the Awesomely Bad crew. It really is a unique aspect of the convention when you get to try on like these really rare, expensive goggles to this system that basically only existed for a couple of years, which, really is a unique thing you don't see very often. But, it really goes to show how far the fandom has really come over the years, especially considering that physical media is generally not really looked upon in the same way as it was even 10 years ago. But it's unique nuggets of coolness like this that keeps me coming back to these conventions year after year. One thing I did want to mention is that even though the attendance was about average, what I expect from Animazement being about 12,000 people, the one thing I will say is that the Dealer's Hall and the Artist Alley seemed a little thinned out this year, and this is in part due to the fact that there were actually 3 megacons going on this weekend. Unfortunately, a lot of the vendors kind of got pulled to much bigger shows, but overall there still was quite a bit to be seen as well. On Sunday, one of the last major events to occur is the Idol Fest, which has really grown to be a very popular event in the last couple of years, especially considering a lot of dance troupes and other performers kind of come together for this, which has really kind of become a really fun event, especially kind of seeing the fact that the amount of people with light sticks in the crowd increasingly becomes bigger every year, which is a really fun treat to kind of see, especially spectacle-wise. Overall, Animazement is a really great little weekend, to say the least, in the fact that, you don't have to be the largest convention out there to really get a lot of bang for your buck. I really tell people that this is really a really great hidden gem convention that really has almost everything old school as well as a newer fan would love, without having to deal with the crowds and the insane amounts of money that often come with it, with a lot of the larger cons. If you had also attended Animazement, please let me know below, and if not, I will see you in the next convention review.